In this video, we are going to take a look at surface boundaries and how to minimize the amount of data brought into our drawing, hide or show specific areas, and increase the workability of our surface. Now, these surfaces that I have in here are not overly large, so doing this to these surfaces is not going to increase your performance. However, most projects are on a larger scale. You're doing hundreds of kilometers of road and whatnot, and if we can trim down those surfaces to only display what we need, then we get a definite performance increase. So to make a boundary, you need some form of closed polyline, whether it be a rectangle or a polygon, or you just sketch the polyline yourself. So I could simply just sketch my own polyline, say I only wanted to work in this area. And I'm going to sketch a few on the other ones. I'll just draw a rectangle and maybe we'll do a 7-sided polygon. And then we'll make it do that. And I'm just going to move that to the center a little bit. And then I'm going to go and create another one inside. We'll do 3 sides. Make a triangle. So here's my boundaries. The first one is on our survey points definition. Under boundaries, I'm going to right click add. This is going to be an outer boundary, so it's going to hide everything outside of the polyline. The type will be outer, and we'll go through the rest here in the other surfaces. And then there's this little tick box. If we make it a non-destructive break line, it will clean it up so it's nice and clean around the outside of our little shape here. If we leave it a destructive break line, it's going to make a bit of a mess on our surface. So I will leave this one as an outer destructive boundary just so we can see what happens. So it cuts off everything where we have no survey points. The second boundary here on our AutoCAD points, and we'll get back to the non-destructive on this side. The second one here on our survey or our AutoCAD points, I'm going to create another boundary. I want to do a hide boundary, so I don't want to see anything inside of this triangle. I will leave it non-destructive, and I'll select the boundary and hit enter. And as we can see, we've hidden that part of the surface. So we have a pile with a hole in it, a pile of dirt with a hole in it. And if we object viewer this one, we can see that it's cut it off the way it's displayed. And finally, this third one here, so the polylines. I'm going to add 2 boundaries to this. I'm going to add an outer boundary. I'm going to leave it non-destructive so it keeps it nice and clean. And as we see here, here's the polylines we used to build that. And the inner boundary, I'm going to set for hide. So I can show this and I can hide this. Alternatively, if I delete them, we're going to rebuild that polyline surface. And I'm going to add these boundaries. The inner one, I'm going to do a hide boundary. So it hides everything on the inside. And then I'm going to have a show boundary. And I'm going to do this triangle as a show boundary. So if we're designing stuff in the areas between these 2 surfaces, we can hide the contours of the existing ground. We can show different areas, hide different areas. Quite a bit of versatility. You can hide multiple areas, you can show multiple areas. Just keep an eye on your order of operations and the way you're hiding and showing things. Now on the surface, the boundaries, the final one, data clip. This is a very special boundary. It's not going to work on any of these surfaces in here. This is mainly for the large DEM files or if you're data shortcutting files in. If you ran a data clip on a surface boundary, so say this was our data clip, all of the outside information would not be brought into your drawing, and none of it would. So if we purely hide this surface in the middle, the information is still there, the surface is still there, it's just invisible to us. So all that data is still in your drawing. It's still displaying the triangles internally, we just can't see them. A data clip will not bring the data in at all. So anything that you have data clipped out, the data is out of the drawing. It's not in the drawing. It's not causing slowness. It's not causing performance issues and all that other fun stuff that we deal with as civil designers. So again, surfaces being one of the more processor intensive, graphically intensive objects in our drawing, especially when we get into the large LiDAR surfaces. So 1,000, 100,000 points, 500,000 points, a million points. Definitely trim it out, hide the stuff you don't want to see, show the stuff you do want to see, use these boundaries. And if you are using data shortcuts, definitely use the data clip so it only brings in what you actually need and it doesn't bring in that other information and just hide it from view. So that was just a quick run through of surface boundaries and how they work and how we can apply them and use them to our advantage.